What? No way. It can't be. Just as I was about to marry my fiancée, I stumbled upon a shocking truth. Until then, I had lived as part of a normal family, but on the family register, it stated I was adopted. I wanted to ask what this was about, but at the same time, I was scared to know the truth, so I hesitated for a few days. However, my fiancée, who was suffering from morning sickness during her pregnancy. "Whether you ask or not, your parents are still your parents, right?" she said. Even after their biological child, who was 15 years younger than me, was born, my parents never neglected me. They raised me with care. Summoning up the courage, I took the family register and asked my parents about it. My name is David. I'm 23 years old. To help my parents in the future, I work for a real estate company. My parents are what you might call landowners, managing various properties. They've inherited land over generations, running apartments, parking lots, and such, making us quite wealthy. However, when my dad was young, they were just landowners living in poverty. Perhaps because of this, or maybe despite it, my dad's motto was simplicity and frugality. We live in a modest single-family home, and though the yard is fairly large, most of it is used for a vegetable garden. Of course, we don't have a housekeeper. Meals are homemade by my mother, and we never had fancy multi-course dinners like on TV. Instead, they spared no expense on my education. They let me try everything I was interested in from a young age and took me on trips during school breaks, both domestically and abroad. For the experience. One memorable trip was to Spain when I was in 3rd grade. My dad chose it because of its many historical buildings. We also visited France, Germany, Canada, Brazil, and many other places. At each destination, my parents would explain the history and culture to me in an easy-to-understand way. I think they studied history and culture just to teach me. Even domestic trips were mostly educational, and we rarely went to famous theme parks or amusement facilities. We only went to fun places on my birthday trips, and I envied classmates who had annual passes and went often. That said, the trips were not unenjoyable. I liked hearing my parents talk about history and culture and tasting various cuisines. However, I remember not liking British food. Even now, I can't eat haggis, a dish made from sheep's organs. Back then, we all wanted to return to Japan quickly, a sentiment we still laugh about. When I became a middle schooler, I got busy with club activities and studies, and we rarely traveled abroad. My parents encouraged me to take the middle school entrance exam to make future exams easier, but I attended public middle school instead. I simply didn't want to part with my elementary school friends, but in middle school, everyone made new friends, and some of us drifted apart. Looking back, I sometimes regret not taking the entrance exam as my parents suggested. Because of this, I took high school entrance exams seriously, balancing study and club activities, leading to very busy days. My parents must have had busy days keeping up with me, too. I didn't attend any cram schools for studying. My parents, both graduates of a prestigious national university, tutored me themselves. During my club matches, my mom participated in parent activities, and my dad always came to cheer me on. Our routine changed slightly just before I entered my 3rd year of middle school. I thought my mom wasn't feeling well lately, but it turned out she was pregnant. I was told I'd have a brother or sister by next Christmas. I always wanted siblings, so I was thrilled. However, this became a reason for teasing at school. My mom was 42 years old. A late pregnancy. I understood from my dad how challenging late pregnancies could be. But it wasn't something I could explain to all my classmates. By the 2nd year of middle school, everyone knew how pregnancy happened. Being teased for having done those things because my mom got pregnant at 42 was embarrassing. Excited about having a sibling, I ended up in a big fight with a classmate who teased me, leading to a call for my parents. My dad came to pick me up from school. He asked me why I fought, but I stubbornly refused to answer. The other boy also refused to explain when his mom asked him. He probably knew his comments were wrong, but I had a different reason. I thought if my parents knew the reason, they would blame themselves. But no matter how much we kept quiet, the truth eventually came out. The homeroom teacher, informed by students who witnessed the incident, explained everything. The teacher apologized to my dad, and the other boy's mom made him bow his head forcefully. In the car on the way home, I asked my dad, who was driving, not to tell my mother. He promised he wouldn't and said, Thank you for getting angry for your mother's sake. However, he also scolded me all the way home, saying that even if it was for mom, fighting was not acceptable. Afterwards, the homeroom teacher used class time to explain pregnancy and childbirth in detail, and the boy apologized to me. Although I initially didn't intend to forgive him, seeing how genuinely sorry he looked, I accepted his apology. My sister was born on Christmas of my third year in middle school. My mom, who was preparing for Christmas Eve with the family, went into labor. She was worried about the half-prepared meal, but that was not the priority. I accompanied her in the car driven by my dad. My mom's grip, as she endured the pain, was unbelievably strong for someone usually so gentle. We arrived at the hospital around 6 p.m. on December 24th. 12 hours later, my sister was born. I was allowed to see my newborn sister, and tears naturally welled up as I saw her tiny, clenched hand. "You've become a big brother, David," my mother, with her hair all messy and looking exhausted, said to me. Thus, I became a doting older brother to my newborn sister, named Chloe. Whenever I heard Chloe cry, I would rush to her, even if I was studying for exams. If my mom wanted to take Chloe shopping, I insisted she leave Chloe at home, saying there were too many germs outside. My dad, exasperated with me. "You are a high school applicant, so focus on yourself rather than on Chloe," he warned. As the exams drew closer, my parents finally banned me from interacting with Chloe because of my overprotectiveness. I protested that banning me from seeing Chloe stressed me out and made it hard to concentrate, but they didn't budge. When I argued, "What if I fail my exams because of stress?" my dad retorted, "So, you're planning to blame Chloe if you fail?" I had no comeback for that. If I did fail, my parents would surely say it was because I spent too much time doting on Chloe. Thinking this way, I studied desperately for the remaining month before the exam. Though I was in a doting brother phase, I had been studying steadily since the first year of middle school. Having kept my grades at the top, I easily passed my desired high school entrance exam. Easily. Though academically it wasn't a problem, saying it was easy in terms of my personal life is debatable. After finishing the exams and entering spring break, I didn't want to leave Chloe's side for a single day. During that spring break, the classmate who used to tease me also came to see Chloe, and he was completely smitten by her cuteness. I started attending the prestigious high school affiliated with my desired university, so I couldn't spend all my time with Chloe anymore. Naturally, I transitioned from being a doting brother to a regular brother. However, I was still frustrated when people called me a doting brother. What's wrong with a brother being kind to his sister? Before my first summer vacation in high school, I went for a part-time job interview. I wasn't dissatisfied with my allowance, but my dad said it would be good to work for the experience. "How much money can you earn from working? How will you spend that money? Knowing this alone will be a good experience," my dad said. So, I went for an interview at a nearby bento shop. I suspected my parents were worried about me being too attached to Chloe. This was my first time writing a resume, and I didn't have much to write. I started from my kindergarten days, and as I recalled my past, I felt a slight sense of unease. I remembered attending kindergarten, but I also vaguely recalled going to a place like a daycare. My parents had always told me I attended kindergarten, and there were photos of me in uniform. However, I had faint memories of being in a different place with many children. Didn't I attend kindergarten? I asked my dad, who was reviewing my resume. He gave me a puzzled look, wondering why I was asking such a question now. Maybe I have memories from a past life. I joked, and he gave me a skeptical look. It seemed the only way to reconcile my faint memories with what my parents told me was to believe in past life memories. My dad said it was likely a mix of dreams and things seen on TV, but I preferred the past life theory. It was more romantic that way. I'm not a geek, but believing in past lives and alternate worlds is more exciting. Though my dad was exasperated, I chose to think that way. I was hired after my interview at the bento shop. At my first part-time job, there were 3 employees and 5 part-timers, including the manager, Sam. There were 3 high schoolers and 2 college students among the part-timers. I developed a crush on one of my fellow part-timers, Emma. Emma started working there when she entered high school to save money for college. At first, I thought she just came from a less privileged family. She always hurried home after the shop closed at 9 p.m., finishing closing tasks in 30 minutes. We didn't have many opportunities to talk except during shared breaks. I later learned